It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of November 6, 1998. We got a whole lot of movies to look at today this week, and let's see, how many we got here? 9 movies. 9 movies, 7 of them are new films, 2 of them are classic movies being re-released, so we have a lot of films to get to, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Adam Sandler as the Waterboy.
It was a lonely water boy.
Smelled like you could use a shower, I'm thinking.
Constantly tormented by everyone.
I'm the water boy, dude. Stop making fun of me.
Football for this team. Everyone.
Oh, please don't hurt me.
With his pain.
You are so sexy.
Adam Sandler.
There's something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
The Water Boy. Rated 13. Starts Friday, November 6th.
So the Waterboy, I think, is kind of pretty much self-explanatory. You have Adam Sandler playing a socially inept, stuttering, and somewhat mentally challenged 31-year-old who serves as the Waterboy at the University of Louisiana. And then over at this other school, the South Central Louisiana State University Mud Dogs, led by Coach Henry Winkler, they realize that this guy can not only be a really good football player, but he becomes an outside linebacker and actually turns this team around. And you can pretty much tell where this goes. But more importantly, this was the film that launched Adam Sandler's film career into the stratosphere. This was his first major hit. It went on to become a huge, unexpected hit, grossing $40 million in its opening weekend alone, and later going on to grossing $160 million. But this is typical of the pretty much Adam Sandler formula. But back when most people with a good sense of humor actually liked Adam Sandler and made some funny movies, and he worked with the people behind SNL. I mean, he co-wrote this with Tim Hurley, who was a prolific SNL writer when Sandler was there, and I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and even to this day, I still really enjoy this movie. I think it is a very fun, stupid, silly comedy. A lot of great performances all around. Adam Sandler, I think, is very funny in here. Kathy Bates, I think, is very good playing his mother. Henry Winkler has a lot of funny moments in here as the coach. I mean, the cast overall in this movie is just great, and the film just has a lot of fun with its concept. It has a lot of fun with the ideas that it has for it. And it's a legitimately funny movie. It's a film that knows it's not meant to be taken seriously at all, but it's not insulting your intelligence like a lot of Adam Sandler's later comedies would do, but it knows exactly what it is, and I think that has the benefit of it. And I think that's what makes it so special. It's directed by Frank Coraci, who also did The Wedding Singer the year before, which is arguably one of Adam Sandler's better comedies, but this is a film that I think really does hold up very well. It's still a very funny movie. If you go into it with the right mindset, you could really have a good time with it. I still remember when I went to see this movie when I was little, and it was at a packed house, too. I think we saw it maybe opening weekend, but yeah, like I said, it's a really good movie. It's a really fun, good-hearted comedy. I would definitely recommend it. If you can go into it with the right mindset, you could definitely have a lot of fun with this movie. The Waterboy, really funny movie. Can't recommend it enough. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is The Siege.
Sir, there's a covered FBI. And what I propose is that you let these people go, and I'll take their place. I'm going to take your silence to mean that you're considering my offer.
Oh, God.
London, Belfast, Beirut, you're not the first city to have to deal with terrorism. This is New York City. We can take it.
You don't understand. These guys are pros. From the age of 12, they've been dodging people like you.
The situation's evolved. They're attacking our way of life. The president wants to stop them. There's only one way to do that.
You're saying the president's prepared to take the necessary steps.
Today, with the invocation of the War Powers Act by the President, I am declaring a state of martial law in this city. We intend to seal off this borough, and we intend to squeeze it.
Do you have any idea what you're starting here?
Hold on. What they really want is for us to herd children in the stadium like we're doing. And put soldiers on the street and have Americans looking over their shoulders. Bend the law, shred the Constitution just a little bit. We do that, and everything that we have bled and fought and died for is over.
Don't you ever again question my command. Is that clear? I'm not under your command, Jack. Look around. Tell me if you really think it's true.
Well, this certainly is a movie that held up well over time. I mean, not even 3 years after this movie came out. Of course, we had September 11th, and the story basically here is that you have a fictionalized situation in which terrorist cells have made several attacks in New York City, and you have this FBI secret agent Denzel Washington, and you also have this FBI secret agent he worked with, played by Tony Shalhoub. There's a CIA operative played by Annette Bening, and there's an Army general played by Bruce Willis, and I think I said last week it was Meg Ryan in this movie, and I'm thinking the other one that Washington and Ryan starred and directed by the same guy, Courage Under Fire, which is a really good movie. This one, I think it has some ideas that could work, but it's not as good as some of this director's other works. Edward Zwick, I think, has made a lot of really good movies. I don't think this is one of his best ones here. I think it has some ideas that could be very topical, but at the same time, there's not really a whole lot there to really make it something that must be seen. It has some good ideas, just not the best execution per se. And the film was not a big hit. The only reason why this movie had any notoriety, especially after the second weekend, was because there was a teaser trailer brought on there for a highly anticipated movie called Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a film that was a trailer that everyone was waiting to see, that people were literally paying full price to see the movie, sit down, watch the Star Wars trailer, and they got up to leave. So that's the only notable thing about this movie, honestly, is the fact that people paid money to go and see this, only to see the Star Wars trailer, and then just got the heck out of there. And honestly, I couldn't blame him for it. But for Bruce Willis, in terms of this movie, it's not the worst movie he's been in 1998. I mean, have you seen Mercury Rising? Have you seen Armageddon? This one's not as bad, but it definitely is not the best work for him or this team overall. Denzel Washington always gives it his all, even in movies that are not that great. I think this is another one where he gives it his best performance. But other than that, though, there's not really a whole lot there to make this really something that you need to see. You might want to see it because of the fact that it kind of predicts the future, sort of. In fact, this movie was actually the most rented movie in America after the September 11th attacks, almost kind of like how Contagion was the most watched movie after COVID happened, which is not a good movie to watch if you're watching if you're trying to watch something after the COVID pandemic. But as far as this movie goes, it's fine. Definitely could have been a whole lot better though, but it's fine for what it is. So that's The Siege. Let's get to a really good movie that came out this weekend, and it's a classic film, the re-release of The Wizard of Oz.
The house began to pitch. The kitchen took a slitch. It landed on the Wicked Witch. In the middle of a ditch.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
It lands in theaters everywhere. For the first time, digitally restored.
These things must be done delicately.
And remastered in digital stereo sound.
Well, that makes a difference.
With all the songs. The magic.
I am hard.
Follow the yellow brick road.
The fun.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Generations have waited to see the most beloved movie of the century on the big screen. And
Toto 2?
Toto 2.
We represent the lollipop Jew. I'll get you, my pretty little dog, too.
Put 'em
The Wizard of Oz Special Edition. Digitally restored and remastered in digital stereo sound. You've never seen Oz like this.
So this was being put out to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the release of The Wizard of Oz. However, notably, this actually came out just after CBS, who had aired The Wizard of Oz on TV nearly every single year from all the way back in 1956. Basically, this re-release came just a few months after they aired it for the last time on CBS, before it eventually moved over to the WB and Turner Broadcasting, and ended up picking up the movie, and it would air multiple times on TBS, TNT, and then later down the road on Cartoon Network. But it was notable because this was the last. This came out on theaters again the same year that CBS stopped airing the movie every year. It used to be like a holiday tradition. Like, it didn't matter what time of the year it was. It could have been Easter, could have been Thanksgiving, could have been Christmas. You would have seen this movie on television at least twice a year in the 1990s. But in 1998, May was the last time you could see it in '98 on CBS. But then eventually came back to theaters, and I mean, what more do I need to say about The Wizard of Oz? It's a classic film, visually gorgeous to look at, a film that just has so many memorable moments to it. The songs, the characters, the storytelling, the production values for this time period is top-notch. I mean, what do I even need to say about it, man? It's a classic film. It's a film that must be seen by everybody. It's a film that's kind of recommended viewing. Even if you're not the biggest movie person, you kind of have to see The Wizard of Oz at one point in your life. And really, when you watch it, you can really see why it still holds up after all these years. Judy Garland's great as Dorothy. You got all these great performances by Jack Haley, Burt Lahr, Ray Bolger, Billy Burke, Buddy Ebsen. Like, these really terrific performances, these really great characters, this really fantastic music, this amazing world. I mean, nothing ever tops what The Wizard of Oz was able to do. There's been movies that have been trying to capture that same kind of element, but they don't come close to the classic movie. The Wizard of Oz, what more do I even need to say about it? It's a classic film. If you have not seen it by this point, get off your ass and go see it, man. You're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. Like I said, it's kind of recommended viewing no matter who you are. So, that's The Wizard of Oz. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Belly.
No purpose, dog. It's money. We born to die, man.
I love you, Tommy. I'm gonna be waiting for you.
You gotta promise. You gotta swear that you will not go looking for them.
Ain't a cowboy. I just came to see if we can do something. Come on! I am the original Johnny Condandana.
Belly. Rated R. Starts November 4th.
So Belly follows these two gangsters who have learned how to make a good living by dealing drugs and pulling armed robberies. The two guys have been able to move out of the ghetto in Queens when they were raised and relocated to an upscale section of Manhattan. They would seem to have it made, but will realize that their lives are heading towards a dead end. One of the guys begins getting in touch with his African roots and trying to convince his girlfriend that they should immigrate to the motherland, while another has a religious awakening and joins the Nation of Islam. Most notably, this is the feature directorial debut for Hype Williams, who's a really incredible music video director. In fact, it's amazing that this guy has not directed more movies, considering what he brings to the table when it comes to his music videos. This is a guy that's directed so many classic music videos. Even if you don't know who he is, you definitely have seen his work before. I mean, this is the guy that did the music videos for stuff like Getting Jiggy With It, No Scrubs, Got You All in Check by Busta Rhymes, Gold Digger by Kanye West. He also did Heartless. He's done a ton of great music videos, and this was not the last time that he was going to be a film director. He was actually going to direct Speed Racer before the Wachowski brothers eventually came on board to it. So it's not like he hasn't tried to get back into directing a film. There just hasn't been any opportunities to really get him to do so. And even as I say this, I've actually never seen this movie. I don't really know if it's any good or not, but like I said, it's, if anything for that director, Hype Williams, I gotta think it's gotta look visually pleasing compared to, especially when you consider his music videos he's done. So, I mean, personally, it wouldn't surprise me if this actually ended up being a pretty good movie. But then again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it is or not. But not much more I can say about that one. So that's Belly. So on to the next movie, and that is Velvet Goldmine. So this is based off of a story by Todd Haynes, who was more notably known as the man who directed the infamous Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, which is yet to be officially released as a full-length film. It's only been released as a little bit of a film, but he also did this film. Set in Britain during the glam rock days of the early 1970s, it tells the story of this fictional bisexual pop star named Brian Slade, who's played by Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who fakes his own death. You also see that Ewan McGregor, Christian Bale, Toni Collette, Eddie Izzard, all part of this cast in the film. And it uses non-linear storytelling to achieve exposition while interweaving the vignettes of these various characters. That's really all I know about this one, because this is another one that I have not seen. I've heard about it, but most notably I know about it because of the David Bowie song. But I don't think David Bowie has anything to do with this movie, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. I haven't seen this one, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. So I don't know. Looks visually interesting, so it definitely could be worth something to see one day, but I have not seen it, so I can't say any more about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Cate Blanchett and Elizabeth.
It is my business to protect your majesty.
Dangerous mission.
She must never be allowed to succeed.
Require dangerous men.
Think before you do this.
And absolute power.
I am my father's daughter. I am not afraid of anything.
Demands absolute loyalty.
Do not fear to strike. And let it all be done.
2 thumbs up for Elizabeth. It's a hypnotic spectacle. A breathtaking film. Elizabeth. Rated R. Now in select theaters, November 25th everywhere.
This is the story of the early years of Elizabeth I of England, her early reign, where she's elevated to the throne after the death of her half-sister, Mary, who had imprisoned her. As she established herself on the throne, she faces plots and threats to take her down. And this was the movie that introduced the world to Cate Blanchett, and she eventually went on to become the actress that we know her as today. It's a film that's as such a legacy to it that they've actually made a sequel to it almost 10 years later with Elizabeth the Golden Age, which seems weird. It definitely feels like it definitely is very much a sequel, but the first movie, it's pretty good. I mean, it works mostly because of what Blanchett brings to the table. You also have great performances all around from Jeffrey Rush, Christopher Eccleston, Joseph Fiennes, John Gielgud, Richard Attenborough. A phenomenal cast in here. This director, Shekhar Kapoor, that name sounds familiar for some reason. I just don't know what else he did. He did The Four Feathers, which is... it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a great one either. Kind of like Elizabeth the Golden Age, which was not a bad movie, but not a great film overall. It's definitely a sequel, like I said before, but this film overall was really good. Like I said, it really works because of Cate Blanchett. I think it really did show everybody that, hey, this woman can actually act and actually could be a really damn good actress someday. And she proved it by what she went on to become an Academy Award-winning actress. She actually won a Golden Globe for this performance. But you watch this movie mostly because of her. I mean, she really is the best thing about the movie. It definitely works mostly because of her. The visuals overall are nice to look at. Some of the action sequences they actually throw in here are nicely done. It's a really good film. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it, Elizabeth. So, on to the next movie, and it's Ian McKellen once again after after Apt Pupil a couple weeks ago with Brendan Fraser in Gods and Monsters.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
So this is basically a partially fictionalized account of the last days of filmmaker James Whale, played by Ian McKellen, best known for directing Frankenstein and its sequel, Bride of Frankenstein. And as a veteran of World War I, the aged Whale develops a complicated relationship with his gardener, played by Brendan Fraser, a fictional character originally created by Bram for the source novel. And it's directed by Bill Condon. Bill Condon, of course, you know, is the director of Dreamgirls as well as Beauty and the Beast. He's been a good director overall. He's also the producer. He also wrote Chicago. And a good performance overall. Good performances carry the film, I think. Ian McKellen's really good. Brendan Fraser gives a really good performance. So does Lynn Redgrave. But other than that, though, the film itself is just an okay film. I think the performances do elevate the film to something that you should see, mostly because of what they bring to the table here. Ian McKellen usually is going to give a very good performance. Brendan Fraser, I think this is the film that made people realize that Brendan Fraser could actually act, and eventually would lead him to his own Academy Award coming almost 25 years later. And it's a good film. It's a good film. I definitely say check this one out. Gods and Monsters. Speaking of good films, on to the next movie, and that is the re-release of The Big Chill.
Sam's feeling blue. I don't know what people think about me. You know why they left here. Maybe they do like you. They don't have that problem here. You know I don't like you. Sarah's growing up.
People always be counted on to do the right thing. It's a disgusting person.
Harold's winding down. You know what these people with thing ever have? You know what? Sex, fun, friendship, and one man take. So how come they're all having so much fun? Because they have each other. They're big, chill, rated R.
So this is, of course, the re-release of the 1983 film directed by Lawrence Kasdan and featuring a cast of then young, unknown newcomers, specifically Tom Berenger, Glenn Close, Jeff Goldblum, William Hurt, Kevin Kline, Mary Kay Place, Meg Tilly, Joe Beth Williams. Focuses on them as a group of baby boomers who attend the University of Michigan. They reunite after 15 years when their best friend Alex dies of suicide. Kevin Costner was cast as Alex in the film, but all of his scenes showing his face were cut. The film also has a soundtrack of songs from the 1960s and 70s from people like Creedence Clearwater Revival, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Rolling Stones, Three Dog Night. It also played a huge inspiration on a number of TV shows such as 30-something and A Million Little Things, and a whole lot of Big Chill knockoffs, stuff like Windy City, the infamous Windy City, and Independence Day, and but again, this is a great movie. I mean, this is a great movie to see a lot of really good, young, talented people before they became the stars that they eventually became. They work off each other very well here. Glenn Close is great in the film. Kevin Kline is really good here, directed by Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan's a phenomenal director. We've talked about a lot of his works in the past, including Grand Canyon. Of course, he wrote The Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back. I think just Empire Strikes Back. I could be. Now I'm curious. Now let me see. Well, he wrote Empire Strikes Back. He wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did write Return of the Jedi. Okay, I wasn't too far off. He's written stuff like Continental Divide, The Bodyguard, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Solo: A Star Wars Story. He's made a lot of good stuff, is what I'm trying to say here. And this is probably one of if not his best movie. It's a film that just works so well. The performances carry it through. The music is great. It just kind of opened the door for so many different movies of its type. Like, a movie has left a lasting legacy when it makes films, when we get knockoffs, not but a couple of years after it came out. So yeah, I guess I'm guessing they re-released this because of the fact that it was the 15th anniversary of this movie, and it takes place 15 years after after these people are meeting for the first time in 15 years. So why not re-release it then? But I mean, what more do I need to say about this movie? The Big Chill. Fantastic film. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. So, on to the last movie, and that is The Red Violin.
Its perfection astounds.
600,000.
Its mystery endures.
700,000. 1,100,000. 1,300,000. 2,400,000. So,
The Red Violin.
Yeah, this seems like a pretentious film. This is a film that spawns 4 centuries, 5 countries, as it tells the story of this mysterious red-colored violin and its many owners. And you see one of them is Samuel L. Jackson. Just because. Actually, I'm saying this because I've never seen the film, so I don't really know if that's actually what it is. But it's got some positive reviews. It did receive some Oscar nominations, including the Oscar for Best Original Score. It was nominated for Foreign Language Film at the Golden Globe Awards. That's really all I know about it, quite honestly. I've never seen the film, so I can't really say if it's any good or not, but I don't know. This just feels like one of those movies that could be very pretentious, but could actually be pretty good, too, so I don't know. And that's all I've got for you in that one. So that's The Red Violin. So that's going to do it for this episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll have 7 more movies to look at. Not a lot of good movies here. Some notable films, but notably bad films. We have I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. We have Anthony Hopkins and Brad Pitt in Meet Joe Black. The infamous Jonathan Taylor Thomas Christmas comedy, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Dancing at Lughnasadh. Lughnasadh. I have no idea what that is, so that probably tells you that I haven't seen the film. Welcome to Whoop Whoop, Hardcore Logo, and Thursday. So, 7 movies to look at. Not a whole lot of good ones that I see here, but we'll delve into those as we get to the next episode. But until then, Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.